Hello, it's Ren Presents time. I'm your host Ren, and today we continue with the Temple of the Exploding Head Omnibus, Part 1, Chapter 5, 5 Questions. So last week, Kay decides to forge his own Karg with the help of Sam and with the help of many other people, including a new friend, Lord Lon of Probert, the son of Milos of Probert, who's a great engineer in the fleet. Kay designs his Karg, forges it, and also creates a statue of his mother in 4 pieces. Again, with lots of help. Sam proved herself to be a very good artist and so forth. So now Kay has his Karg, and it's infused. Sigillus, his mother, contributed silver tech to it, so it actually has a lot of mystical properties. Instead of having to manually make it bigger or smaller, it can get bigger and smaller on its own. It glows. It's as light as anything, and it does other things that we'll find out later. Now, let's clear something up. I get a lot of flack. Not a lot of flack. Yeah, I get a lot of flack from people going, okay, why is Captain Davidge's King Karg so goddamned heavy, 77 pounds? It makes no sense to have a weapon that heavy. Okay, let's break it down. The King Karg was created by Captain Davidge's father, Lord Sadric. And Lord Sadric, unlike his son, was a man about town, a civilized guy, a guy who despised the traditional Blanchford business of producing firearms. The Blanchfords created the PTVA pistol, or the old Poltava as it's known, a very small pistol with a very large caliber punch, very reliable, very well-liked pistol. Lord Sadric hated that. He just thought it was too brutish, too barbaric, reminded him of his father, Lord Mazerfeld, who was kind of like a barbarian, basically. Lord Sadric says, no, we're not going to make firearms no more. That's ridiculous. We're going to convert our factories to create textiles. But he was having a problem with these creepy black hats that kept trying to abduct his daughter, Lady Poe. You didn't know why. He didn't know she was a Shadow Tech female and that the black hats were trying to abduct her into the Black Hat Sisterhood. He needed something to defend his daughter. And, again, he's too avant-garde to use a gun. So he's like, I'm going to have to design a Karg, but I'm going to make sure that nobody other than me can ever use it. So he didn't make it himself. He had his smiths down in the smithy design this huge 77-pound Karg made of all kinds of mystical metals to make it very hard, make it work very well. And even though he was a kind of a fop, Lord Sadric was good with the Karg. His father beat it into him when he was a kid. So he created the King Karg, very heavy. Now, Lord Sadric was no muscle man. There's no way he could have lifted that and used it in battle. So, using his connections in the Sisterhood of Light, he was taught an anti-gravity litany so that he could basically make his King Karg weightless. So that when he used it, it had no weight. And he used it a lot to defend his daughter from the Black Hats. And she was never abducted into their sisterhood. And then he thought, okay, once I'm done with it, I don't want anyone else using this creepy 77-pound wretch of a weapon. I want to just put it on display in some reading room, some place of prominence, so that it's more of a talking point, conversation piece. And without that anti-gravity litany, nobody's going to be able to lift this King Karg. Well, he didn't count on his son, Davidge, being really strong and having the gift of strength, and Captain Davidge lifted that Karg easily and was able to use it in battle. He inherited it, so yeah, that defeated Lord Sadric's designs on the King Karg. He intended that nobody other than he ever use it, and without that gosh darn anti-gravity litany, there's no way anyone's going to be able to use a weapon that heavy. But he was wrong. But Kay's not his dad. Kay can't do anything with it, so he created his own Karg, much smaller, much lighter, but pretty formidable in the things it can do, as we'll find out later. So that's that. I hope that clears that whole situation up for everyone. This week, we continue Part 1, Chapter 5, 5 questions. So Kay is starting to become annoyed that he's been having this conversation with this voice and he knows basically nothing about the voice that calls itself Sam. So this week he's going to try to remedy that. So let's proceed immediately. This is book 1 of the Temple of the Exploding Head. It's called The Dead Held Hands. This is part 1 of that book. Kay and Sam, chapter 5, 5 questions.
We used to be evil once, and the gods are still punishing us.
As time passed, Kay grew. He had shot up over the years and added a nice coating of lean muscle to his wiry frame. He carried his saddled Karg at his side at all times, and after 4 years of training, was quite good with it. At 17, he was done with the reviews. Now, he could mingle in social circles, and his purple hair and green eyes, once his bane, were now his greatest assets. Young ladies from all over came up to him fascinated, and his mother often told him that his pile of correspondence should be getting quite big real soon. It never seemed to happen, though. His pile remained small and uninteresting. He developed a core group of friends. His best friends were his twin cousins Sarah and Philip, they being of fairly similar age and disposition, but every winter Sarah and Philip left to go to Grand Olin Manor in the south with their mother and father, and Kay was left on his own in the castle. He had his sisters and his brother, and Lady Kylos wasn't bad to hang out with, though she enjoyed the social battlefield much more than Kay did. Lady Hathaline tended to do her own thing and was a growing pilot, flying across the sky with father, showing a great talent for it. Mazer was still so young and chained to his mother's side, Kay rarely saw him by himself. Lord Lon of Probert was also a good friend, but he was usually in Arden with his parents and was only around occasionally. Kay still had a few mandatory duties to perform. The worst of these duties was when the witch was in attendance for a visit. The witch, as Sarah called her, was the Countess Hortensia of Monoma, a close personal friend of his parents. She often came, apparently, to tell their fortunes, as Monomas were adept at that. When she did come, Lord Davidge and Countess Sigillis were always keen for Kay to visit with her in private, to get to know the Countess on a more personal level. On such occasions, Sarah relentlessly filled his ear. "The witch is here," she'd say. "She's gonna cast a spell or throw you into a pot. Look how big she is. Her belly's full of little boys just like you. She might even turn into a berserkicide and eat you whole." With that in mind, Kay went to sit in attendance with her in the Firth House, a tea room where guests were entertained. The Countess was certainly a strange sight, a big, girthy woman, covered up with a blanket and sitting by a heater to ward off the northern chill. She had coal-black hair, chalk-white skin, and sinister black eyes that didn't seem human to him. That marked her as a Monoma, those black eyes. But instead of acting like a witch who wanted to eat him, as Sarah had insisted, She seemed very friendly and kind and had a wry wit and an easy manner. She told him stories and sang to him with her soothing Monomo voice. Though Kay was hesitant at first because of the Countess's appearance, by the end of every session, this Monomo had won him over. Her voice was strikingly similar in inflection to Sam's voice. Monomos, if she was any indicator, weren't all that bad. But the moment she left, Sarah, avid customer of the lurid posts and cheap horror vids, relentlessly filled his ear afresh. Witch, berserkicide, eater of children. And then the Countess Hortensia of Monomo died of long old age and was buried by their lake in the far south. No more visits, no more singing in his ear. Only Sarah's voice remained. In the winter, with Sarah and Philip gone, Kay often crawled into the old chapel to speak to Sam. He usually brought her food, for which she was always very appreciative, desserts being her favorite. He also continued bringing a terminal into the chapel with him and read to her from the posts. Kay considered Sam a close personal friend, his secret friend. As the years went by, the obvious questions began to be posed with more and more frequency and force. Who are you, Sam? Where are you, Sam? What are you, Sam? And always in a very polite tone, she skirted around the question. Always she said she was afraid that if she told him, he might not want to be her friend or come and read to her anymore. And she told him that she couldn't bear that. Kay had to take Sam at her word that she was a person from far away who could obviously do a number of very powerful things, spoke in an odd language, and was too bashful to meet him in person, though Sam, safely hidden behind her mystical veils, was certainly not a bashful person at all. Kay liked to imagine that Sam was a sister hidden away at one of their mysterious research centers. Sisters were told to be incredibly strong, and Sam was very strong, so she must be a sister, perhaps yearning for something beyond the cloister. Or, better yet, that she was one of those pretty golden-haired Xenon girls that he'd seen at recent balls. Girls so pretty they made him blush and feel small. Maybe Sam was a Xenon girl who was also a sister. Wouldn't that be something? Kay sat alone in Sam's chapel. He had come to think of Countess Vercandia's chapel as Sam's chapel. It was chilly, with winter in full force. He had been talking and laughing with Sam all afternoon. They argued over a post that they disagreed on. Sam, Kay said on a more serious note, "What am I to you?" Sam was silent a moment. "You're my friend, Kay. You're my best friend." "And how long have we been friends?" 4 years now." "Yes, 4 years, and I've never seen your face. I know almost nothing about you. It's not fair." "I know, Kay. I don't want to lose you. As a friend, I mean. I'm afraid if you saw me, you won't want to be my friend anymore." "Why? Are you a monster of some sort?" Sam paused a moment. "No, I'm not a monster, silly." "Are you a sister?" Sam seemed astonished. No, Kay, I'm not a sister either." "Then I want to meet you in person." "You must know, I consider you to be my secret boyfriend." "You consider me your boyfriend?" "I do. I've had a thing for you for some time now, Kay, and don't say you didn't know that. I can't possibly be any more obvious about it. Do you think of me as your girlfriend?" "Well, no, Sam. You're a voice in a chapel." "You don't?" Sam sounded a little hurt. "I've never had a girlfriend. My parents have tried to set up meetings for me with various girls from around Cana, but they never seemed to make it here." Well, how sad, Sam said with a tiny hint of elation in her voice. They don't know what they're missing. And I don't get a whole lot of correspondence from girls either, so if you were my girlfriend, you'd probably just vanish on me and not write. Sam laughed. Oh, you're so cute, Kay. I'm not going anywhere. So, do I get to be your girlfriend? I don't know. You're just a voice. Kay felt something tap him on the shoulder. He turned, and nothing was there. I'm not a voice, Kay. I'm a full-fledged person. Well, then let's meet. Let me see you. I'm not going to risk it. Kay crossed his arms, and they were silent for a bit. I know, Sam, he said, finally. How about we play 5 questions? I'll ask you 5 questions, and I'll bet I can guess where you are within 100 miles. Can we do that? And if I can guess where you are, then you have to agree to meet. 5 questions? Well, all right, Kay, let's do that. It sounds like fun. I'm ready for your first question. Kay thought a moment. Look out the nearest window. Is it cloudy or sunny right now? Sam chuckled. Well, I don't really need to look. It's cloudy, foggy actually. That's 1 question. You get 4 more. Foggy, huh? Kay smiled. His thoughts turned. Now he would see how well he had absorbed all his sessions with Father. 5 questions should be more than enough to zero in on the unsuspecting Sam. Okay then, next question. Is it cold or warm where you are? Warm. Warm, all right. My third question, if you look out your window again, in the direction of the sun this time, do you see any mountains or hills? This was a key question. Hold on. She was silent for a minute or two. No mountains or hills. A flatland, huh? Fourth question. Is there a sizable amount of water near where you are? Yes. Last question. Are you on the southern continent? Yes. Kay smiled. Sam, you're in the southern highlands, near or in the Xenon region. Am I right? He heard Sam giggle. I'm impressed, Kay. You know your geography, but you're not quite close enough. So no deal. I'm plenty close, Sam, don't lie. You're in Xenon, and that makes you a Xenon girl. I'll bet you're really good looking. Well, sorry. No deal. And for the 1000th time, I'm not a Xenon girl. However, I have been told on many occasions that I'm very attractive. I've had lots of potential boy suitors. I could have had any of them I wanted, but I turned them all away. Why? They're not you, Kay. Kay stood up and closed his terminal. So, Sam, are we going to meet or not? No, I'm sorry. In that case, Lady Sammy Doran, I bid you good day. Kay, where are you going? I'm leaving, and I shan't be back. Why? Sam shrieked. I just told you why. Okay, don't go. As he slowly wafted away, he was too large now to squeeze through the hole. He heard Sam cry out for him. Several days later, Kay received a strange letter on his pillow. It had been a rough few days, and several times he found himself heading to Sam's chapel. He missed Sam. He missed her quite a bit. But through sheer will, he put her out of his mind. His name was written out on the envelope in a thin, twisting script written in black ink. It was something a skilled engraver might produce. There was no return mark or other indication where the letter came from. He took the letter out. The paper was stark white against the flowing black lettering. It said, I've decided not to be mad at you anymore. If you insist that we meet, then let us meet. Just remember, I warned you. Walk to the grove tomorrow at noon, and I will be there. Your girlfriend, Sam. P.S. I'm actually very excited. I've been eager to stand before you for some time. And with that, we conclude Part 1, Chapter 5, 5 questions. So, as we see, Kay is kind of done being in the dark regarding Sam. Kay likes Sam a lot. He considers her his friend. And obviously Sam feels very strongly about Kay and calls him her secret boyfriend, and that she's been offered many sons over the years, and maybe a few daughters too, who knows. But she turned them all down because, as she said, they're not Kay. And we know, given the first parts of the book, that Sam feels very strongly about Kay for reasons that were plain in earlier chapters, how she dreamed of him for years and considers him her Aaron Dan. And that's not something monomas take lightly. So Sam loves Kay, and she's just trying to be coy. We've heard a lot about his cousins, Sarah and Philip. We haven't really seen them in person yet, but we heard a little bit of Sarah's voice. And Sarah is an avid consumer of horrid things and ghost stories, urban legends, unsolved mysteries. She just loves that sort of thing. She's also, I guess you could say, a big fan of monomas, or they take up a lot of her thoughts, and not necessarily a good way. That they intrigue her, and they also scare her a little bit. You'll never get Sarah to admit that, but Sarah's kind of afraid of monomas, and she's, as we're going to find out in later chapters, Sarah is kind of impulsive, a bit of a hothead and a lout, and has a loud mouth to go with it. Keeps filling Kay's ear that his parents always want him to sit in the presence of Countess Hortensia Monoma, that's Sam's grandmother, and just spend some time getting to know her. And the whole point of that is to acclimate Kay to monomas, because they look so different. And he goes in there. Well, Sarah always preps him at least when she's around. She's a witch. Look how huge she is. And, she's probably eaten a lot of little boys just like you. And she's going to go berserkicide. There's that word, berserkicide. And we're going to find out in the preceding pages what a berserkicide is. And it's not pleasant. That's something all monomas fear. But, so Gay goes in there with Sarah's voice still ringing around in his head. But Countess Hortensia is a charming lady with a wry wit. And usually by the end of the session, she's won Kay over. That, she's a good person. She looks a little weird, but she's a good person. But then one day she dies of old age, and then there's only Sarah's voice remaining. And that could possibly very well be why Sam is hesitant for Kay to see her, because as we know, Sam is every bit a monoma as Countess Hortensia, just not as old. Kay plays a game of 5 questions with Sam, and in case you're wondering, he did a pretty good job of homing in on where Sam is located. Sam is in her home of Castle Astralon, which is on the shores or the banks of Lake Monoma, and Lake Monoma is adjacent to the Xenon lands. It's west of the Xenon lands. It's not in Xenon, but it's pretty much butted up right next to it, and Kay identified the Xenon Highlands. It's just pretty darn close to where Sam is. She still doesn't want to meet him. He says, fine, I'm out of here. And then a few days later, she sends him a note, says, okay, fine, you asked for it. Let's meet. So this is a fairly short chapter. Next chapter, chapter 6, Meet Sam. And that's a fairly longer chapter. It's about 10 pages, but again, the text in this book is very small, so that 10 pages is more like 20. So we'll save that for next week because this reading will get really long. Until then, this is Ren Presents. I am your host, Ren. Peace out.